Have you ever stopped to wonder why you find certain things attractive? It's not as random as you might think. Turns out our brains are constantly working behind the scenes, decoding the secret language of attraction, and they're looking for some very specific signals. So today, we're going to dive in and crack that code.
I mean, really, think about it for a second. What's the deal with rolled up sleeves? Or why does a sharp jawline just catch your eye? And what about that fleeting moment when someone's totally focused and not paying attention to anyone? Why is that so appealing? Well, these aren't just weird little quirks. Nope, they're clues. And we're about to unpack what those clues are really telling our subconscious.
Okay, so here's the big idea. Your brain is basically running an ancient checklist, one that's hardwired from our evolutionary past. It's scanning for three main things. First, signals of health and vitality. Second, these kind of primal masculine cues that are shaped by hormones. And third, the massive appeal of seeing someone in a natural, unscripted moment of action. Let's break each one down, shall we? All right, first up, let's talk about the big one, signals of health. This is the most fundamental category of all. Long before we had gym selfies or fitness apps, our bodies were basically broadcasting our physical state to everyone around us. These are the real, honest-to-goodness biological signals that just scream to our brain, hey, this person is healthy, they're thriving.
And a perfect example of this? Visible veins on forearms and wrists. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's a detail so many people notice, but why? What is our brain actually seeing there that makes it go, interesting?
Okay, so this is where it gets really cool because we can separate the what from the why. Physiologically, the actual what, visible veins just means someone has lower body fat and good circulation. Pretty straightforward signs of physical health. But psychologically, the why, our brain takes that raw data and translates it into something much more primal. It sees strength, it sees vitality. It's like a super quick visual confirmation that, yep, this person is fit. Okay, let's move on to another one. It's subtle, but it's super powerful. The collarbone area. Why is it that a clearly defined collarbone so often draws our eye?
Well, just like with the veins, it's kind of a two-part answer. On the one hand, from a purely physical perspective, it signals a healthy, moderate body fat percentage. It highlights the body's natural structure. But for our brain, there's another layer: location, location, location. The neck and shoulder area is what you could call a psychologically intimate zone. And drawing attention to it, it can suggest this hint of vulnerability, a certain subtle allure. All right, let's switch gears and move on to our second major category. This is where we get into the stuff that's directly shaped by hormones. We're talking specifically about testosterone here. It creates this sort of primal blueprint for what our brains often read as masculine.
So, yeah, just so we're all on the same page, testosterone is really the main player here. It's the hormone that drives the development of a lot of the features we're about to get into, basically sculpting the body during and after puberty. Okay, let's kick things off with a total classic, the strong, defined jawline. It's pretty much universally seen as an attractive masculine feature, right? But what's the actual science behind why we see it that way? And here's the direct link. Physiologically, testosterone literally influences how wide and prominent the jawbone grows. So our brain takes that physical fact, this wider, more angular bone structure, and instantly translates it into concepts like maturity, strength, and masculinity. It's basically a biological advertisement. But hey, these signals aren't just visual. It's not all about what we see. Let's shift gears to something we hear. What about a deep voice? Why do we so often link a lower-pitched voice with attractiveness? Is there a biological reason for that too? You bet there is. Oh yeah, biologically speaking, a deep voice happens because testosterone lengthens the vocal cords and makes the larynx, the voice box, bigger during puberty. But look at the perception side of things. Our brains hear that lower frequency and immediately link it to traits like confidence, stability, maturity, even a larger physical size. It's another one of those incredible subconscious shortcuts. Okay, now for our third and final category. And honestly, this one is fascinating because it's not about fixed features at all. It's about the power of movement, of authenticity. It's all about the attraction we feel in those little, unguarded, unscripted moments. This is what you could call effortless attractiveness. It's that powerful appeal of seeing someone in a totally genuine state, They're completely absorbed in what they're doing, not posing, not trying to look good. And that raw authenticity, it's just incredibly captivating. I mean, think about something as simple as someone tying their shoelace. Why can that be so weirdly appealing? Well, first off, it's real. It's not a performance for anyone. Second, that angle, looking down, it often naturally highlights features like the jawline and the neck. And third, there's this really interesting psychological piece. It gives us a moment for unobserved observation. It's that stolen glance, and that can be uniquely compelling.
And this brings us to the famous white shirt with rolled up sleeves effect. This is like a masterclass in combining signals. First, you've got the white shirt itself, which signals cleanliness and simplicity. It puts all the focus on the person. Then, the action, rolling the sleeves, exposes those key health signal zones we talked about earlier, right? The forearms and wrists. And finally, the gesture itself just implies this getting down to business attitude. It signals confidence in action. It's a total power combo.
You know, even a tiny micro-action can be incredibly powerful. A great example? The movement of the Adam's apple when someone swallows. First, our eyes are just naturally drawn to movement, so it catches our attention. Second, it highlights a very clear masculine cue. And third, it all happens right there on the neck, that sensitive, visually intimate zone we mentioned. It's super fleeting, but wow, what a powerful signal. Okay, so we've looked at health signals, we've looked at primal masculine cues, and we've looked at the power of dynamic action. So now, let's put it all together. Let's see how these different signals combine to create the whole picture. And when you lay it all out like this, it becomes so clear. Just look at how the most powerful examples, like the rolled sleeves or the swallowing motion, they don't just check one box, they check multiple. They're combining health signals with dynamic action or masculine cues with an intimate zone. See, it's almost never about just one single thing. It's about the potent combination of all these underlying signals working together. So really, if you take just one thing away today, let it be this. Attraction isn't random. It's a language. And our brain is basically hardwired to be drawn to a very specific combination of signals. Signals that spell out health, masculinity, and that natural, unscripted action. And you know, the best part is, once you know the code, you can't unsee it. You start noticing it everywhere. So the question I want to leave you with is pretty simple. Now that you know the secret language your own brain is speaking, what are you going to notice next?